Hey Aubrey, how's everything going today?
I'm great. How are you, Lindsay?
Good. How are you feeling? I mean, are you feeling well rested or what's going on?
Well, I have some serious insomnia, actually. Have you found anything that works to help you sleep through the night?
Well, I'm no expert, but sometimes making sure your phone is not in your room is helpful for me.
Yes, you've mentioned that before. I need to do better about that because it's true.
Yeah.
I'll like lie there and try to sleep and then eventually just
hmm
grab the phone and read. Then I'm up for hours.
Yeah, it's not as hard as I thought it would be if you just kind of before going into your bedroom, you just put it somewhere else, put it on
Yeah,
the charger downstairs or in an office. And then it's like you now have to get up out of bed to get the phone. And that's
right.
another level of addiction, right? So then you're like, no, I'm
Lindsay,
not
I
getting
am
my phone.
committing right here to follow through with doing that
Ooh.
because that might make a difference. I need to do it.
Okay, well, our listeners might hold you accountable for that
Do,
then, Aubrey. If you
do,
want to
guys.
say that publicly, we'll check in.
Yes, I
All right.
need to be held accountable here.
So I'm excited to get into this. What did I say in our opening role play today,
Yeah, you
Aubrey?
used this great phrase to say, I'm no expert, but, and then to share some
Mm,
advice. And this was inspired by a recent episode when we talked about this like, oh, there are interesting phrases we use to, sort of be a little more humble about the advice we're going to give or lower expectations. So today we're going to
yes.
teach you some of those ways that we do this.
Yes, and I think this is going to be a fascinating episode because a lot of cultural nuances are going to come across,
Yeah.
um, a lot of vocabulary, and just very, very high level connection skills today. So, first, guys, before we get into it, I want you to hit that follow button right now. Stop what you're doing, keep playing the episode, go out of the episode, go into the podcast itself, and hit the follow button. That means that you get all of our episodes automatically, which is what we want to build a habit, right?
Yes. If you're not following, you're missing bonuses, you're missing exciting
Mhm.
stuff. So many episodes every week. So be sure to hit follow.
Yes, 100%. And remember, we believe in connection, not perfection over here. So we bring everything back to human connection and the connection moment. Aubrey, with that in mind, should we go into a little mini role play for
Yeah,
our
well, we're
listeners?
first going to teach this. Well, we kind of shared it already, but this first
Yep.
one is just to say, I'm no expert, but. So,
hmm
this word expert means like you know everything about a topic. So, if someone
Yeah.
asks for your advice or asks you something, this is a good way to say, I certainly don't know everything. I'm no
Right.
expert, but.
Yeah. What do you say when you actually are an expert in that topic? That's another episode, right?
Yeah, that you just don't say anything. You just
That's
launch right
another.
into the advice, right? But I would probably say, well,
It's
I'm
an
no
episode for
expert,
another day.
but I'd get
Yeah.
this replaced if I were you. Maybe if it's something that has
Yeah.
anything to do with electronics or technology, this I
Yeah.
would start with,
Yeah.
well, I'm no expert, but
Yeah. Yeah, I love that. That's a different topic that I mentioned, but we did do an episode. I think Michelle and I did an episode about how to ask experts about
mm,
their field of study or field of profession at a party. And it is a
interesting.
very nuanced topic because you need to show curiosity, openness. So, anyways, go into our back catalogs to find that one. But today it's about bringing yourself down a bit, lowering expectations, but in a way that's socially acceptable, right?
Exactly. And like you said, this is pretty
Mhm.
cultural, right? Depending on the
Mhm.
culture, you might do this more to try to
Yes.
show humility or
Yes.
to lower expectations. And it also depends on a person's personality. I have
Yes.
noticed I definitely am the type of personality that would do this. Others aren't. And there's not really a right or a wrong way. It's just sort of your own quirks.
Okay, I love that. Super interesting here. So, all right, let's go into it.
Yeah, let's do a mini role play. I'll start us out. I'm so impressed by how well your kids are behaved. Tell me all your secrets.
I'm not exactly a pro, but I do try to give them a lot of opportunities to make their own decisions. And I think that's built self reliance and social skills. Mm, yes.
Nice. And we snuck another one in here. This is actually highlighting our next what we're going to recommend here is to say I'm not exactly a pro, but which means the same as I'm no expert. Pro is short for professional. This is another way we'll do it, right? You're just sharing like I'm not a perfect parent, I'm not a pro, but and then you can give some advice.
Yeah, if you're going to say this, you have to switch it up, right? And just about the topic there, today's episode of The Daily, if you listen to the New York Times podcast, they go into the recent Surgeon General's warning about parenting. Have you heard about that, Aubrey? The
No,
Surgeon
interesting.
General, yeah, the Surgeon General just released a warning, like the smoking warnings, the alcohol warnings, they released a warning about parenting, saying that if it's done in a super intensive way, there's a special term for it. It can be harmful to the parents, not even talking
Oh,
about the kids. And so the Daily broke this down, brought an expert on the show. It is really, really interesting. It talks about the whole movement in the 80s where people became more aware of children's brains changing and
mm.
interactions between parents. Oh my gosh, 100% I recommend our listeners to go over and check out that episode. It's
Yes,
really
and me.
good.
Like,
Yes.
I need to hear it. I'm very interested. It might be good news for me because I'm a pretty laid back parent, so maybe
Cool,
this is
cool,
good news
cool.
for me.
That might be so you might be doing it the right way in that
Maybe, we'll
case.
see.
All right, so that's a good little content recommendation for our listeners. Let's go into another thing we can say then. I
Yeah.
guess we did say
Well,
this,
we
right?
sort
I'm
of
not exactly
highlighted,
a
we
pro.
sort of gave a
Yeah.
little spoiler here. This one is I'm not exactly a pro, but and this is especially like for parenting. I mean, you can say it for anything, but you can
Mhm,
also share when you're not a professional. Like if someone asks you to fix something and you'll give it a
mhm.
shot, but you're not a professional, you might say, not exactly a pro, but I could try to fix that if you'd like. This has happened to
Yes.
me before where someone will ask about like something that has shorted out. I'm like, I'll give it a shot, but I need to warn you that I'm no professional.
Yeah, and I think there's something on the human evolutionary level that feels good when we bring ourselves down to the level of someone else. I think it's evolutionarily learned, right?
Mm.
So that we can connect, you
Yes,
know?
that makes sense. Yeah, for sure.
Mhm.
Let's do another role play with
100%.
this one because I definitely want you guys to be able to use this one. You want to start us out, Lindsay?
Yes, here we go. We're having some issues with our fridge shorting out, and I heard you had a similar problem and were able to fix it. What'd you do?
I checked the fuse and it needed to be replaced, so it was an easy fix. I'm not exactly a pro, but I'd definitely recommend you try that.
Ooh, very high level. Love it. Getting in there, Aubrey, fixing things.
Yes, this I had this exact situation where I had let a friend know like our fridge kept shorting out and this was the fix and they were like, This happened to me now. What did you do?" And I'm sure I
Yeah,
used one of today's phrases, right? I'm no expert, but I'm not a pro, but this is what I did. So try it out.
I love it. So good. Okay, Aubrey, we are back to our number 3. The third thing we could say to bring ourselves down and lower expectations, and then we can feel free to give advice from our own perspective, our experience. What do we say?
Exactly. This one is I certainly don't have all the answers, but I use this one a
Mhm.
lot as well. They
Yeah.
all mean the same thing, right? I'm not an expert. I don't have all the answers. And then after that, you can share your, a little bit of advice, what you have found works.
Yeah. So, for example, I certainly don't have all the answers, but making lists has helped me stay organized. And in that case, we can emphasize me, right? Because
Yeah.
then you're clearly speaking from your own experience,
Yes,
right?
right. Love
Hmm.
that intonation. This is something Jessica has told me, and she probably started it with something like this. I'm no expert. I certainly don't have all the
Hmm.
answers, but I was asking for her tips on staying organized, and she is a list
Yeah.
maker, which I've
Yeah.
picked up, and it does help.
Really good. Glad to hear it. Glad to hear it. Lists are always good, and that some of that comes back to our American cultural values of how satisfying it is to get things done,
Yes,
right?
to cross
Very
something off
American.
that list. Absolutely. Yes.
Yeah, we're a very task-based society, so there's so much culture in here. It's just awesome.
So true.
All right, so another role play, Aubrey.
Yeah, I'll start us out here to use this one. I've been feeling a lot of anxiety lately, and you just seem so grounded and calm. What do you do to maintain that outlook?
I'm glad to hear that I seem calm. I certainly don't have all the answers, but I found meditation really helps me stay focused on what matters.
I
Yeah,
love this.
nice.
And it's also a great way if someone compliments you like this. And if you are the
Mhm.
type of person that has a hard time just saying, thank you, right? If you're a
Yeah,
little more uncomfortable with compliments,
right.
something like this is perfect, especially if they're sharing your advice. You're showing humility, showing you don't know everything, but also accepting the compliment.
Yeah, it makes you free to give an answer that's practical, and
Yeah.
sometimes we don't see certain things in ourselves that others see. So this is kind of when someone catches you off guard. I seem calm, wow, right? And maybe I am calm, who
Yeah,
knows?
thank you. I'm glad to see that I appear calm.
Right, right. No, and then you're able to transition into, okay, how can I help this person? Because that's really what we're focusing on here. It's not we just received this compliment. What does it mean? No, no, it's not about that. It's about how can I help this person now? Right? The
Yes.
connection moment. Yeah.
Exactly. And we also want to share there are so many ways to do this. We have a lot of phrases in English that we use to lower expectations, to
Mhm.
accept a compliment humbly, right? With humility. And in our archives, there's a great episode that you and Michelle did, Lindsay, 649. It's a little while ago, but it was how to
Mhm.
give advice in a humble way with 5 English phrases. So on our blog, if you search advice or humble, these come up. And I wanted to just briefly share some of the phrases we covered there that you can also use. Take
Okay.
this with a grain of salt, take this for what it's worth, but take it this
Take
or
this or
leave
leave
it.
it.
Yeah,
And then another one, not sure if this is what you're looking for, but so these are all totally different ones, but we're in the same vein. We're talking about the same basic idea of
exactly. That way that we give advice, but first try to show humility.
yeah, and I think the best way to access our really older episodes like 600 is definitely the blog, Aubrey, because there's a lot of episodes in our queue inside the podcast. So
Yeah, you
come
might
back
be
to the
scrolling for a
website.
while. I've done that. I'm like trying to get back.
No, no, there's so many episodes in there. Your thumb will get tired. You have to just
Right.
finish up. Yeah. All right. Good stuff. So, Aubrey, what's our takeaway for today?
Yeah, this is so great. If you're not an expert, or even if you are, but want to show that humility or lower someone's expectations, these
Hmm.
phrases are perfect if you're asked for advice or help. So use them. Pick one to use today.
Yeah, it takes the pressure off. And this also gives our listeners an option. As you said earlier, Aubrey, if in your culture this is more baked in, there are many
Yes.
cultures that bake in this type of humility even into the grammar. I noticed this in Japan when I studied Japanese. There's more humility and hierarchy, kind of
Mm.
acknowledging hierarchy baked into the language itself. This gives you an option if you feel like it's in your culture, in your personality, to use this. It's another option.
Yes, I love that.
Yeah.
It's so interesting to think
Mm.
about, and if if your personality, if you're in American business culture where this certainly isn't required, for
Mhm.
the most part, we do appreciate humility. We don't love someone who's just bragging incessantly, but
Right.
this isn't baked into our language as much, so you can use these phrases to add it.
Mhm. The one caveat the warning I would say, don't use it when it's not true. Like, Aubrey, you are an IELTS expert. So if I ask you something about IELTS and you said, I'm not an expert, but I wouldn't want to hear that, right? Because you're an expert, you know IELTS better than I do, better than most people. So
That's
just be
such a good
careful
point.
there.
Well, and you don't
Don't
wanna
be rude.
undermine yourself, right?
Don't
If
undermine
someone
yourself. Yeah.
needs your expertise and you are an expert, if you
Mhm.
say one of these, then they're going to say, "Oh, shoot, maybe I'm asking the wrong person."
The
If
wrong
you are the
person.
right person, you don't wanna use one of these.
Right. So at work, when someone is coming to you, if you're in the marketing department and you're doing the content copywriting and they come to you and they say, can you help me with this content? Maybe don't use it there. Right.
Exactly. Instead, yes, absolutely, I got you.
Sure. 100%. I love that. Good point. All right, Aubrey. And guys, by the way, if you are taking IELTS, then go over and check out Aubrey and Jessica on the IELTS Energy podcast. Right.
Yes, hit follow over there as well. Jessica and I have a lot of fun. We try to keep IELTS preparation fun over there.
Good stuff. We'll see you soon, Aubrey. Have a good one.
You too. See you next time. Bye.
Thanks. Bye.